Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? I've been all doing very, very well. Now, in stark contrast to this battered, beleaguered wasteland attire here, I'm wearing, the Royal Stuart tartan. Some days you just want to put the Royal Stuart on. You do. And that day is instantly transformed into a much better day than it would have been if you weren't wearing it. Now, we're not here to talk about tartan. Oh God, no. Mad Max. Or even more specifically, the offshoot Furiosa. Yeah. The trailer dropped a while ago. I did a couple of videos on it. I'm massively, massively excited about it. For me, Furiosa, a Mad Max story, to give its full title, is one of the events of the year for me. In fact, it might be the only actual event of the year for me. Now, when that trailer dropped, it caused a very sort of a Marmite reaction amongst the fan base and the general population as well. Oh, too much CG. Oh, it looks crap. It's cartoon-like. Oh, it's awful. Oh God, and it's a woman. Oh no. All that shite reared its ugly head, and I loved it. I've got no issues with, Anya Taylor-Joy taking over from Charlize Theron, playing the younger Furiosa, telling her backstory. There's a great slew of reasons for this, why this is the story that George Miller is choosing to tell. And I have discussed a fair bit of this already, but the reason why I'm talking about it now, everybody expected the second trailer to drop during the Superbowl. And it didn't. No, it didn't. And the reasons why it didn't are because George Miller realised that the first trailer had mostly unfinished effects. It looked too glossy, too CG. It looked totally unrealistic. Very, very different from the approach that he took with the Fury Road first trailer and subsequent trailers, which blew everybody away. And the film, of course, blew most of us away. I love Fury Road, it's awesome. But he realised the big backlash against this, but he had to get something out there. Now, principal photography on Furiosa finished in October last year, so October 2023, they finished the actual filming of the real people, and they've been working hell for leather, literally hell for leather, ever since to try to meet that May 24th release date, including a few all-nighters, so the CG crew have said. And but the second trailer is meant to have the best, showing it off at its best visually. This is how it's going to look in a finished movie. This is how it's going to be. And it'll be akin to Fury Road, with beautiful CG enhanced vistas, but really hyperkinetic, real, mostly real stunts, we hope. Everyone's going, oh, no. If you freeze the frame there, that's completely unrealistic. There's no vehicles there. It's all CG rendered. No, it isn't. It isn't. It's just that the background and the overall colour palette haven't been finished off. You could say that was a mistake on Miller's part and Warner Brothers for putting it out there too early. But they had to get something out to garner some interest, garner the excitement, the fever drive for a bit of a more Mad Max wasteland adventure. But as I say, there was a backlash. So now he's like, look, we're not going to rush this out. Let's get it. The best trailer we can put out, which will be the second trailer. Now, I think it's going to drop before June 2, which is another Warner Brothers property. And June 2 opens on March the 1st. And I think it'll be playing before that. Don't put money on it, but that's what I think. Knowing my luck, knowing Kilt-Man's ridiculous, inane lack of foresight and getting everything wrong as usual, I'll do this video, I'll upload it, and then, Furiosa second trailer's dropped. Then I'll be like, oh God. But anyway, I just want to see more of Furiosa. Now, I have no truck at all with the mythology of Mad Max. It's all over the show. The original Mad Max trilogy messes around with the timelines and everything synchronic. You can view Mad Max 79, Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome as completely different bloody stories. Yes, there's a kind of overarching character study and development for Max himself, going from like loving father and husband to vengeful bastard, then heartless, uncaring swine of the wasteland, living only for himself and his wee doggy, and then learning to, a bit of compassion. I'll help these people, but I'm only helping them because I'm busted up and fucked up, and like I've got nothing else to live for, and may as well drive this tanker, you know. And I also want to get revenge on the people who killed my fucking dog and destroyed my interceptor. The interceptor. There should be an offshoot movie about the interceptor, the last of the V8s, and give it its proper screen time. George Miller played around with us. He dicked about with us. He knew how much we all loved that interceptor, the Ford Falcon. You know, we adore it. So you're all focusing on the car. Well, okay, I'm gonna fuck it up for you. I'm gonna blow it up, and then in Fury Road, I'm gonna trash it in the first couple of minutes. It's gonna be revamped into a big chrome demon thing with jacked up rear wheels, like some kind of hot rod thing. No. We want the black on black V8. Well, I don't know about that so much. Oh, he says, reaching down for some gasoline. Oh, not quite. It's a worrying sight, that, isn't it? But being as I'm recording this now on a Sunday morning, it means there's a big shop taking place. And when the servants of Kilt Mansion arrive back, there should be plentiful bottles of this stuff. One hopes. Well, this one hopes. Cheers, y'all. So, the backlash was pretty bad against it. I loved it, but I realised, it wasn't finished. I did videos on this. I literally said it's not cleaned up, it's not finished. It could be a mistake to have released it like that, but the next trailer we're going to get will be showing really what you're going to see, or snippets of what you're going to see. And what are we going to see with Furiosa and Mad Max story? Well, we know it's the earlier Furiosa. We're going to see it with 2 arms, and then we're going to see it lose the arm. She's going to meet a younger Immortan Joe. She's going to have a lot of encounters with, what's his name? Dementus, the Chris Hemsworth character. The Chris Hemsworth with the big prosthetic nose job that he's had done. You can have Nathan Jones as Rictus Erectus. You've got him coming back. Tom Berg, who I like Tom Berg, great British actor. And I thought he was playing the younger Immortan Joe. Apparently he is not. He was playing a character called the Praetorian. Right, the Praetorian. That's a Latin term for a Roman elite officer in the Roman army. Now, I've heard from people that are working on the movie and have read the script and have worked on the movie, and his name has changed a few times. So he may not be called the Praetorian anymore, but who knows? A lot may have changed, but I know people that have read the script, and the script, they have said, is full of really huge, exciting set pieces, and also it's gruesome. Yeah, it's gruesome, and it's going to definitely qualify for the R rating. Now, that's the thing. An R rating. They're going for it. Miller's going for it already. I don't think he ever worried, apart from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, I don't think he ever worried about the ratings, the rating this film would receive and the violence that he would be showing. If you look at the movies, apart from Mad Max 2, they're not that violent. Yes, they're all about vehicular mayhem and destruction at high speed. People being crushed, mown down, shot, arrowed, set on fire. There's lots of things that happen to people, very nasty things. But he doesn't linger on any of these at all. It's not gratuitous. Mad Max 2 is by far the most violent movie out of the entire lot. And I'd wager it'll still be the most violent one, even with Furiosa coming out. Nice little bombastic fanfare there. Yeah. But Mad Max, this is what I always found quite strange about the Mad Max movies and how people received them, a critical response to them. For many, I saw Mad Max 1979. I've seen it at the cinema. And I've seen Mad Max 2 at the cinema when it first came out. And it came out on a double bill with Mad Max, which was wonderful. I have the vinyl poster for the announcing the blockbuster, the Warrior of the Wasteland returns, the Road Warrior is back and all that. And it's Mad Max 1, then Mad Max 2, UK title. And I've got a huge vinyl poster of that. And it's on the wall upstairs. And I was going to bring it down and try to erect it behind me. I hate mentioning an erection behind me. I was going to try and set this thing up. And it was not happening at all. I could not do it. That sounds bad as well. I couldn't maintain an erection. Would it be something to do with this? I jest. Of course I can. But I saw it, Mad Max 2, on a premiere with Mad Max 1. That was 3 hours of absolute high-octane guzzling carnage and mayhem. And my God, it blew me away. I've loved Mad Max ever since. But I loved it from Mad Max 1. But what gets me is that everyone who wrote about Mad Max, reviews and retrospectives, and people on YouTube and people everywhere in magazines and whatnot, have always gone on about this. Mad Max had 9 minutes of cuts in the UK. It fucking didn't. It didn't. Nothing was cut out of Mad Max in the UK. Nothing. Because there's nothing in Mad Max. If you cut 9 minutes out of that, what are you going to get? Nothing. Just a nothing movie. It's got crashes. It's got a couple of scenes of people with blood on their faces, maybe, with a crash having taken place. You've got the Tex Avery style eyes bugging out before, people get annihilated by an oncoming vehicle or truck or explosion, which is a George Miller sort of standard sort of joke. But it's not that violent. Goose gets basically burnt alive, and you see flames around him, but you don't see much. You see a burnt arm in the hospital. And even when Jesse and the Sprog, Max's kids, get mowed down by the toe cutter, Hugh Key's burn, oh God, rest in peace. And they get hit by the biker gang, take them down. But you don't see anything at all of that. So there's nothing. You don't see Johnny the Boy trying to saw his leg off, to escape the exploding vehicle. You don't see any of that. It's not that violent. It implies much, but doesn't show a great deal at all. 9 minutes of cuts. My arse. It never happened. I saw it at the flicks. I saw it again on the re-release. And then I got it on Betamax and VHS. And the only changes that were made afterwards were putting back in the Aussie accents, the original dialogue track, which of course we all know was initially in cinema releases and on home video, was always dubbed over with American voices. A woeful decision, and so crass and wrong, isn't it? Cheers, y'all. Mad Max 2, on the other hand. Now that is more violent. There's people getting set on fire, and you see it. There's people getting crushed against the backs of vehicles, people ploughing into vehicles. There's more eyes bugging out as well. People get killed with crossbow bolts, and their heads blown apart with a shotgun. You've people getting crushed by vehicles falling on them and their legs snapping. You've got that people going under the wheels. It is nasty as hell. And yet it's done in a pure comic book fashion. So as much as you go, ooh, you're not traumatized by it. You're just not. It's exciting, it's exhilarating. And it was cut in some territories. I mean, the two cuts that I remember, which I don't think were in the UK, certainly not on the UK home video release. I don't recall if they were cut at the theatrical double bill release. I don't remember. I wouldn't have thought they were. I don't think Mad Max 2 was cut in the UK. But the bits that were cut and subsequent video releases in the UK did have the cuts in them, but then were quickly rectified. I think that was a mistake on the distribution side of things. But it's where, oh God, what is it? It's Wes gets, in the opening sequence, the opening chase, Wes gets the arrow in his arm. And when he takes it out and he's going, the close-up of him twisting it through his broken flesh and then going, they cut out that bit there, the close-up. And also when his blonde, bouffanted bum chum gets the feral kid's boomerang in his head, and goes down, and he's there. Another cut there was the sort of like a close-up of the boomerang in his cranium, and his head seems to move, and it's like, but that was slightly trimmed. But every version ever since that in the UK that I recall was uncut. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, no issues. But I know that George Miller thought that, look, we were getting a lot of flack for the violence in this. And again, there was two stories for Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. There was a Lord of the Flies futuristic apocalyptic story about the kids, and how they survived and a new society they're going to build. But they're trying to make another Mad Max movie, but I can't get it all right. Tell you what, let's just combine the two. Max will meet this tribe of kids and he'll become their leader and find salvation. And that's how Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome grew to be. But of course, it was watered down. He had flack from censors. He had flack from, the outcry against violence and vehicular destruction. I'll tone it down. There's still violence in Beyond Thunderdome, but it's nowhere near the standards of the first two movies at all. The fight in Thunderdome with Blaster is pretty good, but you got the chases and there is destruction, and characters do get killed during those sequences, but it really isn't that bad. It's so watered down. I love the movie, but for a variety of different reasons, not the high octane action which really isn't there. But it's a different style of movie, and that's what you gotta love about George Miller. He does tell different stories, and this thing about the original trilogy and what he's doing now, Max, he's not a constant character. It's like Sergio Leone's Dollars trilogy, the man with no name, who always had a name, by the way, but we call him the man with no name, but he had names. Blondie, oh God, I forgot the other names now. Typical. But he's a different character in each movie, and yet the good, the bad, and the ugly, they know how successful Fistful of Dollars were and A Few Dollars More. Well, and Clint's basically playing the same character, although he is a different person in each movie. Well, we're going to show how he gets his poncho, how he gets the gunslinger's glove and all that. All these things come together. We're going to show how that happens with a prequel, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Although it's not a prequel, because it's not the same character. But as an audience, we don't care. It's Clint. And we want to see how he got all his bits and bobs and like how cool he is. In our minds, it's the same guy. In reality, it's not. And Mad Max may be playing this, Gibson's playing the same character in the three movies, but the character is vastly different each time. So, that George Miller is playing around with our conceptions of what this mythology really is. And then, flash forward, God, decades later, and we get Mad Max Fury Road. And Tom Hardy's in there. He's there somewhere. Tom Hardy's in there. And he was great. I know we all want Mel Gibson to return. I don't know, some days you ask me, I go, yeah, he could do it. Well, we know he could do it, but does he want to do it? It'd be great to have him back there, but is it ever gonna happen? I don't know. But so Tom Hardy comes in. Tom Hardy was the doyen, the big destructive diva of modern movies. A macho guy who changes his body and his accent, as much as I change my kilt. And I've got 86 different kilts, so that's a rapid change. So but he was great as Max. But Max was a cipher. You didn't know his backstory. They hint at it, and this is what George Miller does. He's hinting at the bigger picture, the huge panoply of the human canvas and emotions and things that happen to people and events in the world, the apocalypse, the wasteland, warring tribes, and into this world you get Max, this wandering lone figure, grief-stricken and vengeance-driven. But he's different every time. He's a different character. So you can have, like James Bond, you can have anyone playing James, well, not anyone. We know how they intend to go, or how they want to go, how we're afraid they're going to go with the whole woke agenda. Leave Bond alone. But Max has changed, even back late 70s to the mid 80s. Gibson's personification of Max altered quite drastically. The timeline is never correct, but we still love it. Now, George Miller's recently said about the timeline about Furiosa, and it doesn't work. The timeline that he's already set up, I forgot the dates and the times and all that sort of stuff from when the slow apocalypse began and the seaside cities of Australia got taken over and the biker gangs, the armour-like gangs, took over the roads. He's messed up the timeline, and it clearly doesn't work. So Tom Hardy's Mad Max couldn't possibly be the same character that Mel Gibson was playing. The timeline is so mucked around with and changed from when apocalypse happened, and then it's 45 years later. But it doesn't work. People's ages have, even from Fury Road to this, from what he said recently, the timeline just doesn't work. But I don't care about that, because George Miller clearly doesn't give a shit either. He's telling different stories set in the same apocalyptic milieu, and I admire him for that. He just did about 3,000 Years of Longing, and wow, what an existential, powerful, tragic, beautiful movie that turned out to be. Not quite what you expected. Now, what he's doing, he's playing around with mythology. I remember when Mad Max 2 first came out, alongside Mad Max in the UK, a big double bill. And the reviews were all saying, this is an epic canvas that George Miller's created here. It's almost like Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, and Mordor and Middle-earth and all that. Because of all the warring factions and the different colourful characters you had, and what are their backstories, it created this sort of idea in people's minds that this is a huge canvas to play about on, a huge battleground. A lot of different personalities, a lot of different characters, a lot of different motivations. Survival being the primal one, obviously. But yeah, they made links to Sergio Leone and Dollar Trilogy. They made links to Tolkien. Alright, and that clearly is what George Miller's been working at the whole time. But this is a guy, he's not like Ridley Scott. I mean, he's getting older now. Ridley Scott's older than him by a fair chunk, but he's churning out movies every other fucking week, it just won't stop. But the quality, as far as I'm concerned, of Sir Ridley is dropping drastically. Whereas Miller is still really pushing boundaries and being profoundly visual and single-minded in what he wants to do, or what he wants to tell. Now, 3,000 Years of Longing may have been like, some people thought, what the hell is he playing at? We have Babe, Pig in the City, you've had all that sort of stuff, like, and Happy Feet and all this, and The Witches of Eastwick. Yeah, Miller has explored other genres to, I think, great success. I've enjoyed all of his films. But Max is this elusive thing, this itch that only he can scratch it. To us, like playing around with the Interceptor, we want to see more of the V8 black on black Interceptor, but he won't let us have that. He's like, no. If you're focusing on that, then you're missing the bigger picture. And so here we come to the crux of the matter, really, folks. Mad Max Fury Road with Tom Hardy is the finale of the entire Mad Max saga. We've already seen the end. That's it. Miller won't be writing any more stories set after the events of Mad Max Fury Road. But we've got Furiosa, which is a prequel and a different character. She's in Fury Road, but she's not in any other Mad Max stories. But we're going to get her story told. But in so doing, you're going to expand the universe that he's already set up. Immortan Joe, the Citadel, the Green Havens, what's it called? The Farm of Many Mothers. You know what I mean? The lovely place where Furiosa is kidnapped from and fights, wants to go back there. And of course, the culmination of her story, we've already seen. She gets back there and it's nothing. The crops didn't work, weather changed, everything's failed. It's just a wasteland now, a wasteland. So her story is already, it's topped out. She goes back to the Citadel and she may take over from Immortan Joe, Hugh Keys-Byrne, who returned for to play the character of Immortan Joe. Sadly, he's died. Immortan Joe is in the new movie, but we don't know who's playing it. I thought it was Tom Burke, and clearly I was wrong about that, because he's playing someone called the Praetorian. Or he was called the Praetorian. He could be called something else now, because apparently his name's changed for his character a few times already. Who knows? But George Miller is painting a Greco-Roman mythology. It's like Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey. Now, you need to bear that in mind, because Furiosa is going to paint and stretch out a much bigger landscape, a much bigger picture of what's happening in the wasteland, what's happening to civilization and the new societies that are springing up. We know she gets kidnapped. We know that she will have to face many challenges to rise up in the ranks of Immortan Joe's Citadel. So the first trailer hinted at sort of, I don't know, I thought they were like races, challenges, sort of like, death rallies, Death Race 2000 sort of stuff. And I reckon that you're still going to get that. But there'll be other challenges too. There'll be romance for her. She's going to go on an entire odyssey. This film, Furiosa, is not set like Mad Max 2 and Beyond Thunderdome, and even Fury Road, which are set on very brief time periods, like just a few days out of Mad Max's life. This is set over a huge sort of couple of decades. Is going to be held there, where she's going to be kidnapped as a kid, grow up, go face all these challenges, form allegiances, have probably, treachery and, debauchery taking place, and then her vengeance, and then her rise to fame with Immortan Joe. So it's going to be an epic saga, which again is going to draw upon all the mythology of Greco-Roman mythology. So it's a much bigger picture to look at. A lot of great themes to explore. And Miller can do it. Miller loves this sort of stuff. He's been doing this since day one. I don't think he knew it. With Mad Max 79, he did not know what he was doing with that. If you watch it now, and I watch it a lot, it is so fly by the seat of your pants. Not just the actual stunt work and the story, but the whole conception of it. It's like, it's a few days from now. So it's not right now, but it's not in the future. It's just, this could happen in a couple of weeks and society's going to break down. And Mad Max, the society's still pretty much there. You've got police, albeit corrupt and largely defunct, and kind of like bastards themselves, like in it just for the thrill of the chase, the visceral excitement, and taking the law into their own hands. But you've still got a judicial system there. You've got people who are going on holidays. So they live somewhere. Well, let's go down to the coast for a holiday. So they're in camper vans and stuff. But it's a dangerous place, because what doesn't get said in the movie is the Armalite gangs that took over. But it's a slow dissolution of society. Mad Max was never meant to be about a nuclear apocalypse. Although a lot of the blurb about it kind of alluded to that, but it wasn't the case. It was a slow societal breakdown. And again, you're going into not so much Roman mythology, but Roman reality. How the gates of Rome, the barbarians at the gates. it didn't get invaded and taken down, in a huge bloodlust frenzy of mutilation and carnage. It didn't. It took years and hundreds of years for Rome to be. Rome just dropped all its ideas and assimilated everybody else in, and it got took over it didn't have the Roman ethos anymore. It just became assimilated into Europe, and that's what Miller was alluding to with Mad Max, the first one. I know this is quite heady stuff, I suppose, but that's what he was getting at. Society's not been blown up, but then he realised the runaway success of Mad Max, a massively cheap indie cult movie, but really garnered a huge, momentum. Well, I've got to do something else. Well, okay, and he completely changes everything. Well, now it basically is, that's just that slow societal and financial breakdown of world order. It led to wars and boom. So then he brings in, look, I don't think he had much of a choice, to be honest, because if Australia had suffered such a crisis, there'd be like UN soldiers would be in there, peacekeepers, there'd be all sorts of funding taking place, and people like Britain going in there and trying to take the place over. Which, of course, Britain's already done that. That's how Australia became. But, so that was a horrible Michael McIntyre laugh there, wasn't it? I hate him. I hate that Michael McIntyre. He does. Change your... Oh God, no, it's gone. There's a few dregs there, but I'll save them. So he brings in nuclear war, and obviously, clearly in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, you've got mutations beginning there, and like you've got radiation and all that sort of stuff. What's a little fallout? You've got all that. He knows he's had to go down that road, and inevitably, he was going to carve out this new civilization, this new horrible, brutal society. It's got to have had a big boom in the first place. So that's definitely there. And Fury Road definitely sets that up as well. And you've got even more mutations in that and bizarreness. A broken down civilization, warlords will strike up and take power, take control, and they will govern very badly. We all hate our governments, but fledgling societies will always be even nastier than what we've got right now. What we have right now are people, idiots in power, who are too afraid to do the right thing, but they also can't stop themselves from doing the wrong thing because they're pocketing stuff, backhanders and all sorts, and they're playing on the world stage. So they're creating what George Miller foresaw. It's true, it's happening right now. But when society builds it, you have to be, look, this is my mate, our child, I will kill to defend us. So I'm going to kill you. If you've got food, you've got a water source, we need that. I'm going to kill you to take it over. And it takes a while before people begin to like bond again and form a bigger setup, a tribe, a community, and then a nation. And then the whole cycle starts all over again. And Miller knows this. So I think he's playing in this sandpit, this shrunk down microcosmic sandpit, but played out on a huge canvas. And so I'm looking forward to Furiosa. I think it could be outstanding. Oh, back to the violence again. I wanted to mention Fury Road as well. Fury Road, R-rated, 15 in this country. Once again, you have people getting crushed under vehicles, people getting shot in the head, people getting killed with arrows. You've got all sorts of violence in there, but it lasts a nanosecond. The overall effect is very visceral, and it's a gut punch. You feel the impacts, and you're like, oh God, no! But it's not lingered on. Now this one, because of some of the insiders saying no, it's quite gruesome. Miller's really going. He wants to get the R rating. That's what he wants to do. So you've got a character who's going to have to lose an arm. So your main character, in fact, how is that going to play out? Who knows? How did she lose the arm? You know, a lot going on, a lot to be played for. I reckon the Furiosa second trailer will drop before June 2. I could be wrong. At the time of me recording this, you guys could actually be watching the Furiosa trailer 2. R-rated, red band trailer. Oh, imagine that. Imagine that. Oh, it'd be great. But I'm looking forward to it. I know there's such a huge contingent who are so against this movie, saying that Fury Road was woke. I don't agree with that. That this is even more woke. I do not agree with that. I haven't seen the film yet, obviously. But in George Miller, I have always trusted, and I still trust. The guy is a visionary. He's an imaginator. And there's nothing he's done I haven't loved. You know, even Beyond Thunderdome, the watered down Max, there were many reasons for that. I have discussed this so many times in the past, and I still find the film exciting and visually intriguing. Great characters, great performances, wonderful soundtrack, and just totally adore the movie. It isn't Mad Max or Mad Max 2, it's a different kettle of fish. And that's the thing, you've got to expect this now. The Max character will evolve and become someone different each time, which leads me on to The Wasteland. Is he ever going to get it done? The Wasteland is the other prequel. So yeah, the Fury Road is definitely the culmination, the finale of George Miller's Mad Max Wasteland saga. So you're going to get the Furiosa prequel, and you're going to get the Wasteland, which again is set before the events of Fury Road. Will Tom Hardy return for that? Now, I'm not so certain he will. I've got no hard evidence for that, but time's moved on now, and I can't really see him doing it. That's a lot of commitment, and Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy had a rough time making Fury Road, and I don't think and Tom Hardy's no stranger to a bit of hardship. You know, he put himself through the ringer, put himself through the mill. But is he gonna do it for this? I'd hope so, but I don't. I would reserve your judgment on that one. But The Wasteland will go ahead. I've already said that George Miller is not Sir Ridley Scott, who can just make movies in his sleep. He can fart out epic 3-hour-long movies and then fart out the 4-hour cut a bit later on. But law of diminishing returns, as far as Scott's concerned. Oh yeah, you've heard the news that test footage of or early screening footage of Gladiator 2 has blown, the audiences away. Oh well, we'll wait and see. We'll fucking wait and see on that. Napoleon was a damp squib. Didn't like it at all. A bore fest despite the action in it. The 4-hour cut may improve things. Usually with a Ridley Scott movie which has been chopped down for theatrical, it gets its full release, like Kingdom of Heaven. Very definitely fantastic. A much transformed movie. And I do love Ridley Scott. It's just, I think he's just ploughing out. So he knows his days are numbered. So he's ploughing out movie after movie after movie, and then signing on to direct and produce other movies as well all the time. Fucking hell, you just death awaits you. With hell you have made a covenant. Covenant? He made covenants. I'm quoting Zulu there. Didn't even realise the connection. Oh dear, oh dear. So The Wasteland will maybe come out. The rate that George Miller works at, it might never happen. He doesn't speed through things, so who knows? But there is talk of a Mad Max spin-off TV show. There's always been talks of that, actually. Since Fury Road, there's been talks of that. So that may happen. Who knows? And for those who want the cameo of Mel Gibson returning to Mad Max, or maybe just returning full on, he could do it. He could definitely do it. I don't think he wants to do it, but I'd love it if he did. Now, in the likes of Furiosa and The Wasteland, well, The Wasteland, it's meant to be a Mad Max story, The Wasteland, that's purely Mad Max. But in Furiosa, I said this in previous videos, you might see the V8 Interceptor in the background, maybe stops on a sand dune to observe proceedings, and the camera, you see it, and you go, that's the V8, it's got to be Max, and then he'll just rev up, pull away, and that's it. Or in what clearly is some challenges for Furiosa in Furiosa, the racing and so the death rallies that she's got to go on, the war boys and all that sort of stuff. You may see a different contender, and that could in the distance, and that could be the V8 Interceptor. So Max will be involved in this at some point. I would love him to do this. You haven't got to show Gibson's face or Tom Hardy's face. You haven't got to do that at all. Just keep whoever's driving in the shadows. But we know as an audience, we're going to see the Interceptor and go, there's Max. And that, that would go a long way to scratching the audience itch for seeing Gibbo or Tom Hardy return and the Interceptor. Do that, and you've won the crowd. But I really am baited for Furiosa. Trailer 2, June 2, it'll be before that. Hope so. It's only another couple of weeks off. But it could drop any time. As I say, they're working, they're doing all-nighters to try and finish this thing off and get the effects really cleaned up. And I think the backlash against the first trailer has kind of taught Miller a bit of a lesson there. Look, everyone loved and was blown away by Fury Road, but he had years to work on that. Now there's a bit more, you've got to get this out because people are really, don't waste too much time. Show us something from the movie. We've got no idea what's about. Show us something. So he does, and what you saw, what the reaction was. And now he's going to, oh yeah, it could all be part of a master plan, you never know. Look, you saw that and you thought, oh, that looks shit. That's like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. That looks awful. And then it comes out with this trailer and you go like, oh shit. I don't know. I really hope that the second trailer will flesh out the story and give us a bit more idea of what the narrative really is. But we know from inside information, it's an epic canvas, and it does play into Homer, not Homer Simpson. Although that wouldn't be too bad either, let's be honest. Every time you prang a cut, but it is playing into mythology, Greco-Romano mythology. I've got no problem with that at all, because if you start thinking, oh, I don't want to see that sounds fucking stupid. All the films have done that. A mythological character entering a world of giants and gods and monsters. That's what it's all about. And transformations and allegiances and personal revelations, loss, tragedy, and then personal, victory, although it's still broken in a bit. That's all the Iliad and the Odyssey. That's what it's all about. Pain, suffering, redemption, self-realization. And yet it's a Mad Max story, so there's going to be vehicles turning over at high speed, people getting crushed beneath them, heads getting blown apart, arrows flying into flesh, people leaping through flames. You're going to get all of that as well amongst big sweaty sand dunes. So what's not to love? And Anya Taylor-Joy, come on now. For you ladies out there, you've got Chris Hemsworth with a big conch, the big hooter. Folks, I have been on with Shabby Kilt-Man, so please, in the meantime, in this ever wasting my time, probably in between time, please keep it Kiltic, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all with hopefully one of these, which is full up to there. There's some dregs in here, folks. You know, and like Mad Max's little red rag in Mad Max 2, it's to swab up the guzzolene, the precious guzzolene. The juice, the precious juice. That never came down, did it? Still there. We got it. Right. I'm out of here.